co-authoring option that comes your way, which I
Yeah.
actually did. Oh, hey, we're live.
Hey.
Hey, welcome to Author Life. I am Luke T. Barnett, and my screen is buggy, and I have a cold, so this will be interesting. And I'm here with Dean Floyd, not Dan.
Hey.
Hey.
Crap out of the bag.
And yeah. Oh. So, Dean, I meant to have your description up to tell everybody, and I don't even have my questions with me. So let me step out for a second, get my questions, and then you can tell everybody who you are.
All right. Well, I'm Dean Floyd. I write action, adventure, urban fantasy currently. I also have a few short stories up on Amazon. And yeah, that's who I am. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I like long walks on the beach.
Whoa, TMI.
Whoa, we go too far. Straight off course.
Yeah. We're so professional here on the Author Life podcast or broadcast, whatever this is. I have no idea. Yeah, so so your series, the Shamrock Samurai.
Yeah.
So I'm Irish and I love the Japanese culture, so that caught my attention right away.
Ditto.
So what's the premise for the series?
The premise for the series is there's a, for lack of a better term, down on his luck teenager that's just graduated high school, and he's trying to figure out how to be a man. And a few years ago, his dad passed away, so he's kind of looking for direction, and then he stumbles onto a banshee and a wizard fighting in a laundromat, and his powers awaken. So that's kind of the kickoff of Tough Luck. And then from there, it's kind of an origin story. At the time, I hadn't really seen a whole lot of origin stories like what they would do in Spider-Man or Batman done in urban fantasy. And I hadn't seen at the time any action adventure urban fantasy, at least not a lot of it. So that's kind of my spin on it. And then, of course, right after I launched my book, Michael Anderle goes and drops like 16 books in his action adventure urban fantasy Brownstone series, which is cool, actually, because it totally validated the genre. So, yay. Thanks, Michael.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what made you choose urban fantasy?
Well, so
over other genre?
I've been a long-time listener of Brandon Sanderson's podcast, probably like 7 or 8 years. I didn't listen to it exactly when it started, but so I was inspired. I have always been a big reader of epic fantasy, and Jim Butcher, of course, urban fantasy. But epic fantasy was kind of my thing, so I figured, like, of course, I'm going to write epic fantasy. That's what I'm going to do. And so I sat down to write like something like ridiculous, like 8 novels, and I would get halfway through like each of them, and I just like, I can't do this. This is not working. And then I would throw it away and start a new one.
Oh, wow.
And then one day I set down my Devil May Cry HD collection, and I was like, what do I really want to write? And I guess I had, the Devil May Cry franchise on the mind, and I just started writing a flash fiction, and I was like, let's do something totally opposite. Let's not go epic. I'm going to give myself 1,000 words to tell an awesome story. And I wrote it, and it was like the inkling of what Tough Luck became. So a guy like walks into a cathedral, and then he's hunting down this demon, and he thinks that the priest is the demon, so he blows the priest away, and then the janitor in the back turns into the demon, and he's like, oh my gosh, I just shot a priest. And then that's it. That's the story ends. And
oh man.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was mostly I guess it's a horror story, really. So then the next day I challenged myself, like, man, that was a horrible story. I'm going to add another scene. So I added another 1,000 words, and I challenged myself every day to just add another scene, whether it took place before the scene I originally wrote, so I could get some backstory, or whether it was continuing the story. So after like 3 months, I had my first novel officially done, and I sat on it for a month, and then I looked at it again, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty much garbage, but I think some of it's salvageable. So I had heard Chris Fox and a number of other guys talk about writing to market, and I knew that I needed to niche down and kind of give the story some parameters. So I decided to go the Kevin Hearn, MD Macy route and do a Celtic spin on the urban fantasy, and that's kind of where this was born. So
why the samurai sword? Why the whole Japanese part of it?
well, like you, I've been a longtime fan of anime, manga, things like Inuyasha is one of my favorite series of all time.
Okay.
I've watched the show a few times, but I read the manga front to back, and I've always just been a fan of their culture and the awesome. I mean, I'm wearing a what is this Princess Mononoke shirt right now. So
yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I got this off of T Fury. I think it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
So yeah, and then it just kind of rolled off the tongue like Shamrock Samurai, and I had a lot of my friends were like, "That's corny," and I was like, "Cool, I'm sticking with it." So, yeah. So that's kind of where that came in, and I'm a sucker for like anything swords and guns and like slightly corny, with a lots of action. That's right up my alley.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hang on one second. What? Good, thank you. Sorry about that. The boys were cleaning the room and they need to tell me that they're done. Don't make a mess. Hey, Scott's here. Hey, Scott.
What up?
Okay, I completely lost track of where we were. Okay, okay. So you're saying how you like the anime and stuff. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Like, see, I never got into Inuyasha. I always liked I like Dragon Ball Z. My wife likes Sailor Moon. We had a really cool one called Heroic Age. Came along after Inuyasha and all those, but that was a really cool one. I kind of want to take it was a sci-fi space adventure. I want to take elements of that, put it into my sci-fi thing whenever it comes.
Yeah.
And Josh is here too. Awesome.
So
the heavy hitters here in this live chat.
Dad gum.
Yeah.
Now I'm super nervous. Thanks, guys.
Maybe we'll make some. Maybe we'll make some. They'll make some shenanigans. Make us really look like we're trying to copy off a keystroke.
There you go.
Which isn't necessarily not true. Anyway. So what is your? So we were talking before the show about what my writing method was. What is your writing method for writing and then editing what you've written?
Well, I'm a lot like Josh. I'm trying to move away from that. I'm a heavy plotter. So I basically will read a book on plotting or structure, and then I'll take whatever nugget of gold is out of it, and then I will add it to my plotting document. So I have a blank document it's like a generic, I call it a workbook, and it has everything from like the hero's journey to the 7-point plot system by Dan Wells, Dan Harmon story circle. And what I do is I think of it's kind of like my job. So at my job, we were talking earlier, I'm a warehouse supervisor. So it's all inbound and then catching the data and then shipping it out. And it's funny because my brain kind of works like that with ideas. So inbound, I capture ideas. Then I need some way to capture them because my memory sucks. So then I just
I know how that is.
Yes. So I have Google Drive on my phone. So I'll open up my workbook and I'll just jot down all the ideas I possibly have. And then when I run out of ideas, then I've captured them. Those ideas are inbound. Now they're logged and I've got the data. And then now I need to organize that data. So then and this is like an ultra nerdy way to think about it, right? But that's how my brain works. So I capture the ideas, and then I almost picture it like a conveyor belt or like a test engine. Like I need to take this idea and take it for a spin. So I will put the idea through one of those structures that I talked about, like Dan Harmon's story circle or Dan Wells' 7-point plot system. And then those will kind of help me get some sort of structure so that I know what my beginning, middle, end is. And then that's kind of my process. in a
Oh, okay.
nutshell. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, see, that's interesting because I hadn't thought about it in terms of current vocation. Um, uh, see, I route trucks for I'm sorry, Scott Moon said favorite book I'm plotting. Scott, I'm just not sure if that's a question for Dean or what you're asking. I'm sorry, I'm slow and I have a cold, so that makes me slower. Um, uh, anyway, so but like I what I do is more like puzzle pieces. Like I'm putting pieces of a puzzle together and trying to figure out where they fit best.
Right.
Um, um, oh, okay, yeah. So and what I do is what little plotting I do because I'm a pantser, I just can't plot very well. Um, but I'll one thing I found that did work is I jotted down a bunch of ideas, and it's somewhat similar to yours, but not quite as comprehensive. Like I'm running a young adult teenage high school superpower story. And I jotted down a bunch of ideas, and then I printed them out, cut them out, and then physically arranged them on a piece of paper to where it made most sense. And I managed to get like kind of an outline of the series that way.
Nice.
So I've done that method, but I think it really is. It's like I'm writing the story, and I'm realizing this piece fits with the piece that I wrote earlier, and it's just this kind of like where the pieces fit and make as many pieces connect as I can, and that just makes it, in my view, a really cool story.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. I like Josh said in that one interview, I don't outline the outline, right? So like all my best ideas usually come from my outline, and then it's just a matter of like, great, now how do I fit it into the story? So
Yeah.
I actually have a series document outline for the Shamrock Samurai series where I've had like so many crazy ideas, but I'm like, oh, but I need actual time for the characters to develop before I can do that, before I can have this big betrayal or this huge plot twist. I need like some actual books in the series before that happens. So yeah, but it's cool. I've been able, as I'm writing, I've just finished the 4th book and I'm on the 5th one, intending to do 6 and have those released in March.
Nice.
But when I got to the 4th one, I finally was able to check off some boxes of some ideas I've had like in the tank for like a year that I just really wanted to get to, and it was so satisfying finally writing those scenes.
That's awesome. Scott Moon was asking, what's your favorite book on plotting?
Yeah, so it's right here actually. Scene and Structure by Jack M. Bickham. And I had the privilege of meeting Jim Butcher in real life.
Nice.
Before I had even published my book. But I was writing it, and I asked him, hey, how did you learn how to write, and what are some tips you could give me? And he told me Jack M. Bickham and Dwight V. Swain, this book, Selling Writer.
Oh, I've seen that book.
Those are the 2 guys. Yeah, this is like my new all-time favorite book on anything writing, whether it's structure or just how to think about the business. This book is a little dated, but it's foundational is what I would call it. Mm-hmm. So
I'm gonna have to get that one because I have that on my wish list.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. Let's see. So okay. So you're obviously a dad. And husband.
I am.
You got a full-time job.
I do.
How do you balance writing? Like, what does your schedule look like as far as when you write and when you edit and stuff?
Yeah.
Do you have word counts you do every day?
Yeah. So I took Chris Fox's advice and I got a spreadsheet. So I track a lot of things because I'm a nerd. But what's probably the most important is I track my sprints and then I track my daily totals. And then I have a separate column where I, sorry if my eyes glazed over, I'm actually looking at it right now just to make sure I'm not lying. I have another row where I have like the actual chapter counts of the edited words that actually ended up in the chapter. So what my day kind of looks like is I wake up at 5:30. I try to write until 7, and then I get ready for my 7-minute commute to work. And then by the time I'm out the door and at work, I'm there from 8 to 5. And then they give me a few breaks like we talked about, and I have an hour lunch. So then on those breaks and on my lunch, I try to write as much as I can or plot or edit. And then I get home and it's family time, dinner time. And then after the kids are in bed, maybe I might, if I have also spent time with the wife, right? And then after that, I might be able to squeeze in another half hour to an hour, but that usually puts me in bed at like 11:30. So I can usually do that like 4 to 5 days in a row, and then I'm pretty burnt out. And then Saturdays are sometimes busy and sometimes not. I'm sure your life's like that too. So on some days, some Saturdays, I try to wake up at the same time, 5:30, and then that way, man, I can get like 4 hours in if my family sleeps in till 9 or 10. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of what my my day looks like. And then, like I said, I try to measure my sprints and make sure those are always getting a little bit better, and then measure like my actual daily output. So like a good day for me is like a little over 2,500 words. So that's like the max right now.
Oh, 2,500 words. So is that like so how much do you do an hour?
Let's see.
What's your average? Because I'm at like 700 an hour. 750.
So I am
like that.
averaging about like 2,000. So like that's like my whole day is, even though I'm writing for like 2 hours in the morning, it's broken up by sprints, and then I'm editing. So I'm like cycling. And sorry if you're hearing kids screaming.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's my.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
they'll probably just feature my daughter at some point here.
Yeah, and in an hour, I can maybe get like I said, like 2,000 words is like the max. But it's broken up. Like I'm not really writing for a solid hour. It's broken up into little chunks.
Okay. Josh says 4:30 go. I'm having a horrible time understanding what people are saying in the live chat. I'm just not very good at figuring things out. I'll blame on the cold.
I think they're talking about the time they wake up. That's a trophy.
Oh yeah.
I'll get
yeah,
for one day.
But we were talking about this before the show. I work second shift, so I don't get home until like at least 10, not later. Yeah. And then and for some reason I need like lots and lots of sleep just to even function. So I might get up at 8 a.m. And if I do, after I read my Bible and I spend time with the Lord, then I'll for maybe an hour or hour and a half.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll extend that if I'm really doing good. And then it's just take care of the house, take care of what's going on, making sure I'm letting my family know I'm alive. Okay, yeah, 5:30 a.m. Yeah, you said 5:30. You said 4:30. Yeah, those are rookie numbers. You gotta bring those numbers. Josh says those are rookie numbers. You gotta bring those numbers up.
I guess that's Josh's motivation to me for the month, right, of February.
Yeah,
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
nailed it.
Very motivating. Yeah. Yep. Where to go?
I'm thoroughly motivated.
Practicing what he preaches. He's practicing what he preaches. So, what made you want to write and be published in the first place? Did you like have all these story ideas, or you just reading what you were reading? You're like, I can make money off that.
Yeah, yeah, a little both, right? So, I've always been a storyteller. So, I think as far back as when I was a kid, I drew a lot. So I have like notebooks and notebooks full of sketches. But in my mind, like I couldn't draw a character and then not make up a story about them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I had my own like versions of Calvin and Hobbes, my own version of Garfield. They were all aliens. And, and then I don't know, you're probably like this. Most writers, I would assume, are like this, but I'm the kind of person that I don't binge watch a TV show. And then I'm like, oh, I need to find something else that's like that TV show. I'm like, no, I got to write a story. Right. Like, so I'll sit down and, when I consume entertainment, it makes me want to turn around and then create something. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I've always been. And then for years and years, my main creative output, for about 13 years, I wrote and performed amateur sketch comedy like SNL or Key and Peele, but like way cheesier and for a teenage crowd.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and we had at some point I became the skit crew leader, and I decided like we were never going to do the same skit twice. So for probably 10 of those 13 years, we only repeated like a handful of skits, but every week in and week out, we were writing and performing like 5-minute sketches every week. So I did that for like 10 years, and then I had kids and had to drop out of youth ministry and serve elsewhere in my church. But I had been writing on the side. I just hadn't been taking it seriously. And then I found all these podcasts with Michael Anderle and, like I said, T.S. Paul and other guys, saying, you can make millions. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to write super fast on my first try and just publish, this gold, and people will throw money at me. So for some reason they haven't figured out.
Wait. You mean it doesn't work out like that?
Not yet. So not yet. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but yeah, that's kind of how I came to writing. I've always been a storyteller in some form, and now I'm just kind of really honing in on the craft of wordsmithing.
You can come. It's okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. You want to say hi? She's back. Hang on.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Say bye-bye.
No.
Bye, Gwen.
I mean.
Okay. There you go.
Oh.
It's nice to see that all your family has hair.
Yeah. Yes, they have lots of hair, and it grows fast.
Yeah.
And it's always a curly, bunchy tangles. And my poor wife has to deal with it and try to figure out how to make it look great when it goes this way and that way and everywhere.
Wow.
So what? You just shave it off because it's like balding, or?
Yeah. So funny story. So I remember
this is very important to other authors who are bald.
I know, right? We gotta let the world know. So about. I remember being in high school and all these guys could grow facial hair already. And I remember distinctly this one day praying, like, God, please let me be able to grow a beard. And I didn't realize that it was going to come at a cost. So, yeah. So right now, if I were to let my hair grow out, it'd be like these islands and peninsulas of hair, and it would just look terrible. So at some point, one day I was like, I'm going to razor it off. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And my wife was like, you look hot. And I was like, sweet. So
nice.
Yeah.
Score.
Yeah, it worked out. So, and it was funny, like literally as soon as my beard started coming in my early 20s, and then all of a sudden I started going bald. So I was like, all right, Lord, I'll take it, I guess. There's no going back though. So
yeah.
Just warning you, you're going to pray that prayer.
No. This is all I can grow. I can't, I get, it's like those islands and peninsulas, that's here.
Yeah.
So I try to keep that cut down. Beers for bosses. Yeah, there you go. So do you what advice would you give to someone who's just jumping into this game other than don't listen to Michael Anderle?
Oh man, yeah. Yes, quote me on that. Don't listen to Michael Anderle. No,
I probably not.
What does Pedro on Nacho Libre say? All of your wildest dreams will come true, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, for Pedro. Yeah, no, I would tell them, have fun. I think that was the biggest thing holding me back from getting anything done was the fear of not being the next Brandon Sanderson, the fear of not writing something awesome right out of the gate on my first draft. And then also being open to maybe writing a slightly different genre that maybe right now you're just grinding away at some genre that you think you have to write because you wouldn't be loyal to what you read, but maybe the genre you need to write is something different than what you read. Mine's like it's a cousin genre. It's a sister cousin genre. It's a fantasy, so
So,
it's cool.
That sounds really bad. It sounds like it's implying inbreeding or something. It's just not right.
Yes. So that would be my advice. Also, as we spoke off air, and I won't name any names, but for anybody out there who's dreaming of collaborating, it's not as sexy as you think, first of all. But I would say, get some books of your own in your own series under your belt before you venture out and, take the first offer. I did that. I made that mistake and kind of botched my whole writing year last year in more than one way. But I'm back on track now, working on my Shamrock Samurai series and trying to get that done soon. So that would be my advice.
So how many books are in the series right now?
Right now, there is Tough Luck. Then there's going to be a free giveaway on my my reader magnet on my website. Bad Luck. And then there's there's going to be 7 total, all in all. What happened was I started to write book 6, and I realized something was nagging me, and then all of a sudden it just came to me, oh no, I need a new book in between 3 and 4. So I'm writing that now.
And I had that the other day. Yeah, I had that too.
Yeah, so you know what that's like, but so yeah, I'm writing this new book that I didn't plot at all, and I didn't plan at all to be part of this series. But as soon as I realized that was the issue holding me back from book 5, then the plot just kind of worked itself out, and it was magic. Nice. So yeah, so now there's going to be if you include the free giveaway on my website, there's going to be 7 total books.
Nice. Yeah, I thought about taking once I get more of the Half Orc series out, making the first one either perma-free or as a giveaway for sign up for my email list. Currently, I have a short story that ties into the same world, but it's not directly related. Well, there is one character in the short story that's in the Half Orc series, at least the first book, but that's the only connection there is. So you got the Shamrock Samurai series.
Yeah.
So you've already written books. How many do you have published so far?
I only have the first 2 published right now, and then I have, like I said, I have the free giveaway on my website, which isn't actually, it's not there. You can click through to it and sign up for it. It's really a reader magnet, and it's really clickbait, but it's working so far. So I've retained those emails.
Nice.
So I have, Bad Luck, Down on Luck, and Hard Luck are all written. And then I started to write Pure Luck, and then had to back off and introduce a new book called Lady Luck. So I got 3 in the chamber right now, ready to blow the heads off readers. And I need to write 2 more before I can rapid release those. Hopefully sometime in late March-ish is what I'm shooting for.
Are you looking to go to audio too?
I do. I want to go to audio. Although I do want to hear this first book read, because it's one of those things. It's like at the time I wrote it, it was the best thing I could have written. But now it's kind of a little I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear it in audio. It might just be its own thing. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Are you trying to do audio right now?
Not right now. I'm not sure, because here's the deal. So everyone is saying, audio is a great time to get into audio. Audio is really blowing up, blah, 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 which I believe them. But then from some of those same people, I hear, just, write your ebooks, make sure they're good, and and eventually go into audio. It's like, which one do I do? It's like, I would love to hear someone else reading my book. That would just be like so awesome. Half Orc Redemption, I feel like it needs to be edited to be put on audio, because I just don't. There's some things that I've noticed now that since I've grown in my writing that I don't like, that I'd like to change. But the advice that I've gotten as far as going back and fixing it before I write the next one is, don't do that. Just leave it as it is, because I'm getting 4-star reviews. Just go ahead and write the next book, and then go back later sometime. So there's that issue. There's also the issue of I'd like to get in with Podium if possible, because I don't want to get into a 7-year lock deal with Audible, and I can't afford Findaway Voices to pay the person up front. So
yeah,
I just don't know, but I don't think I'm going to get in with Podium if I don't edit the first book. So I'm kind of like this catch-22 situation.
right.
So, but yeah, I would love to go into audio. I thought about, so I've written 3 short stories of Krause and Jay short stories. So I'm going to combine those into a book.
Like an omnibus.
Eventually. Yeah. Well, it's going to be, because there's going to be probably 3 more stories.
Yes.
And then those characters are going to be folded into the half-work timeline.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have so I thought about having the first 3 into a book and then having that go for audio. But again, I'm not sure how I want to do it. But what I really would like to do, if possible, is write the next few half-work books, and then before I release them, have the audio ready to release side by side. I know Josh and Steve Bollier go back and forth about whether to do that or not. It seems to me like a good strategy. I just don't know if I can pull it off. But I just gotta see where the Lord takes it and what where I'm at when I get to the point of having finished those novels. Scott Moon says audio is awesome, but takes a lot of time and money to do it right. You can always do it later. I tried too early, probably. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like now. I feel like me personally, I know myself. I'm a bit of a like, ooh, that's a shiny object over there. Let me go check that out.
Yeah.
And I have to like, when I get into something, I have to like dive in head first into the deep end and kind of explore everything with my scuba gear, and then bring it back up and then show my wife and go, look, this is awesome. And then she's like, yeah, but you're still only on book 3. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Thanks, babe. So
yeah. Praise the Lord for wives that keep us grounded.
Amen. Amen. My wife is like that little weight that you tie down all the birthday balloons to. She keeps me grounded. So
yeah.
You
does your wife do any writing?
No, she does not. And she doesn't really like my stories either. So
oh, that's not cool.
She pity read the first one and she was like, this sucks. You need editing. Yeah. So, but she did help me edit it, and then she read the second one, and then she was like, I don't like this. It's too corny. But then like she'll sit and watch Supernatural with me, which is like, I'm just writing Supernatural fanfic. Like, come on, give me a break. So, yeah, but no, as of right now, she doesn't really like the genre that I'm writing or the style. So maybe one day I can please her, but that'll take my whole life, I'm sure. I'm just kidding. I love my wife.
Yeah. Oh, you got a good wife there, man. She's wanting to read your books and edit them for you and tell you the truth without being,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. My wife has done the same for me on some of my stories. Oh, are you kidding me, Josh? Your wife has never read any of your books.
Oh, you feel the pain. Thanks, dude. Yeah. I needed that.
Scott says, I have a series. It might have been considered by Podium if it wasn't already locked into ACI. Yeah. See, that's the whole I don't want to get into. And see, I'm kind of like you, Dean. I tend to jump in, but I usually forget the scuba gear. I just jump in. And then I get halfway down. I'm like, oh, I forgot the scuba gear. And then I'm just like in this big problem.
Yeah. And you come up too fast and get a headache, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. This analogy is going really far, but no, yeah. So I've been reading a lot of passages the Lord's been bringing to me through Bible reading about steady plotting brings prosperity, and build your field before you build your house, and all this stuff. Just keep going steady, bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, and don't just jump ahead. So
yeah,
like good reins.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but I roped my wife into co-writing with me.
So
there's a character in the Half-Orc series called Liliandra, and she's kind of like if this was like the hero's journey, she'd be like the wise
mentor.
What's that called? The wise mentor. But she really liked that character. Really wanted me to write that story, and so one day I just turned to her. I was like, "Hey, would you like to write Leandra's story?" And she's like, "Really? You'll let me write that?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's so awesome."
Nice.
Um,
It was like reverse psychology. Like I might let you write it. I don't know.
well, that's the thing. She's a writer too. She's a lot better at. No, she's not better. She's right now she's focusing on nonfiction. She does this mom blog to help young moms who are struggling. She's a lot of women have said her stuff's really helpful, but she likes to write fiction too. She actually wrote a book like years ago that she wants to revise and maybe bring back. We kind of talked about that today, but actually today I talked to her and she was like, and I was like, you know what we need to do, because because the whole co-writing thing would be so far off. I said, what we need to do is take one date a month, and take a half hour during that date and just sprint together, and you can write Liliandra and I'll write the other side of it, which is a dark elf novel.
Yeah,
and we'll get it stuff done that way. And so that was like, and we were both like, yeah, that'll work. So now we can actually get this done. That's awesome. So that was
cool.
really cool.
That is cool, dude. Praise God for unicorns, man. That's awesome. Caught yourself a unicorn there.
Yeah. Yeah, don't call her that. She won't. She doesn't like unicorns. Which is weird because our daughter is my wife's she's not a tomboy, but she's not a girly girl. Our daughter is a complete girly girl. And we don't know where this comes from, probably from her grandmother. But she's just like fairy dresses and pink and I want to be a fairy princess ballet dancer. And it's like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, way off topic. So
reel it in.
Yeah, so you got the Samurai Shamrock series.
Yep.
You've got a short story that's for free now for the next couple days, right?
Yeah, just for you and your fans.
How awesome.
I have a Castlevania-esque story that I wrote for Halloween that Amazon kind of botched and released the day after Halloween. So,
yay, go Amazon.
Go Amazon. But in case you were just still feeling dreary and gothic, you could go check it out for free. It's called Intruder. And then I also have, I'll pimp one of Steve Bowyer's books here. I got a short story in his latest Somebody Save Me superhero anthology that's in there if you want to go check out Steve's book that he put together.
Nice.
It came about as a what if question. What if a superhero and a villain were forced to sit down with Mari on a talk show and hash out who is the father? So that's the premise of the show, of that short story. And oddly enough, Steve accepted it. So nailed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of anthologies, you also have one in a recently released anthology called Kingdoms of Iron and Stone. Keith Crawford.
I do.
So what's that one about?
That oh man, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty here. So that one actually came about. Have you ever heard of? You've done a lot of role playing, I presume.
Yeah, I used to play D&D back in the day, and that's actually the main character in my Half-Orc series was originally a D&D character.
Yeah. Have you heard of a system called? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay, good.
Have you heard of a system called Fate Core?
No, I haven't heard of Fate Core.
Okay, so a lot of people, it's got a love-hate relationship with the tabletop community, and people either absolutely love it or completely hate it. But it's more storytelling focused, so it's kind of less crunch, less numbers based, and less mechanics based, and more about like the bad choices your characters have to make. And what I love about the system, there's a lot of things I love about it, but one of the things that's awesome is you get, as a player, you're awarded points the more you let your character get put into danger or into situations that suck for them as a character. So the DM will dole out points to you if your character does something they don't want to do, is forced to do something they don't want to do. And then you can spend those points to do awesome things later in the game. And one of the prompts they have for character creation is to essentially write 3 short stories about your character. So that's what I did, and I wrote this short story, and then the anthology came up, and I was like, well, I don't know, I think this story's pretty good. So so I submitted it, and after they tore it to shreds, Lauren and Ellen did. It somehow made it in. So yay!
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds that sounds like a good exercise for writers to play that game, because it helps you to think in those terms of putting your characters in tough situations that they're gonna have a hard time getting out of, but then also throwing in that epic, like, really cool scene to get out of it.
Right. So like right now I'm playing with a group of friends, and we're playing Vikings on their way to Valhalla, and my character is an old senile Viking. So like the DM will give me my character all this information, like you can see this, you can see that, and then my character just literally forgets it. So and I'm like essentially I'm no help to the group, but I'm also the big muscle. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a good system.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to try that. Oh, I don't have time to game right now, but I maybe I would have tried it back in the day. Yeah, we I some friends of mine, we gamed, and I think I got to like level 11, and we just stopped doing experience points because we were just like so wrapped up in the story.
Yeah. Oh, don't you love it? That's the best when you're just like it's not even about the rules anymore or tripping about your dice rolls. It's just story.
Yep. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. So what other series do you have besides the Shamrock Samurai? Or do you have any other series?
So I have some series that I want to write. I have a space fantasy. It's kind of like the movie Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze meets Voltron. So
Voltron, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this planet gets taken over, and a group of teenagers have to go out to like an outskirts planet, and when they get there they find this ancient mech that's kind of like in the jungle, and it's completely forgotten about, and it's this ancient tech, and then they form a super robot. So and then from there it's Red Dawn, Wolverines. So
that is awesome.
I wrote the first book, and I sort of like I outlined that one, and that one I gave myself a little more freedom, and I kind of let myself discovery write it, and it really got away from the Red Dawn Voltron feel, but they're still mechs, and they're powered by magic crystals that they have to mine out of the planet. So some semblance of the idea is still there, but it was a lot of fun to write. I just haven't had any time to edit it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
that's my Mutant Girl series. I wrote it, but I got to revise it, and I don't have time to do it right now.
Yeah,
it's like, that's okay. All you need is mechs. This should be a catchphrase. Yeah. All you need is mechs. Scott knows about that, don't you, Scott? All you need is mechs.
Shorty.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are some cool covers, by the way. Just
yeah. I could never get into. Lots of people talk about Mech Warrior.
Yeah,
and I never got into that, and I never could get into it. I always thought the mechs from Mech Warrior looked so stupid. I mean, they're practical, so it makes sense, but it's just they didn't appeal to me visually.
Yeah, so, I didn't really watch it.
I think as far as mechs go, I much more prefer the anime stuff like Gundam Wing, or Voltron, than like the real practical military looking, mechs where it's just like these
machine guns for arms.
Yeah. Right, and it's like this chicken walker from Star Wars,
Yeah. Although I will say, like, all of Chris Kennedy's book covers look pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I want to try to get into one of his anthologies. He's doing them all the time. I keep meaning to go back to. They had him on a Keystroke a few weeks ago, and I keep meaning to go back and see where he said to sign up to see where we can submit our stuff to. So I'll try to get into on that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good amount of notoriety.
Yeah, get your mech cred.
Get my mech cred.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know what I'd do for that. My goodness. I've never written military sci-fi. Actually, that's not completely true, because now I've just started writing a fan fiction for Galaxy's Edge, which is pretty much military sci-fi. which is weird. I don't think I'd be able to write it, but it seems like I am able to. But as far as getting into the technical terms of things, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I've never been a military guy, so
yeah, I haven't either.
I just write what I know.
Nothing but respect for the guys who go in the military, but
Amen.
it wasn't left for me. We still got 15 minutes left. I got a lot of questions. Yeah, what's going on here? I don't know. So, did we already talk about what's your got in the future? What you're heading for?
Yeah. So, I do have. We didn't talk about that. So, I got that one. That space fantasy I wrote. Honestly, I'm scared to edit it. It's kind of atrocious. So it was the first book that I wrote completely with dictation, and I was in the process of training my dragon. So it wasn't really up to par, and it will require a lot of editing. I've been, I don't know if you've seen this little genre pop up. It's huge in China right now. It's called, what do they call it? Cultivator light novels, web novels. And it's basically Dragon Ball Z. It's characters that can refine their chi or their soul or whatever you want to call it, and they get stronger and stronger over time. And it's real wish fulfillment. Like the guy gets super strong and he defeats all his enemies, and then the catch is it just keeps going. Like these chapters in these novels are like they get to chapter like 1000. So it's really like 10 books, but yeah, they're crazy long. I don't want to do anything that long, but there's a little category that popped up on Amazon a few months ago under the fantasy myths and legends, the Asian fantasy, Asian myths and legends category. And so I wanted to try to write to market and do that because it's close to what I'm kind of doing now with the Shamrock Samurai thing, except for it would be like actual samurais. So, and I don't want to do like historical Japan or anything. I want to do like like an Eastern fantasy. So it's a made up world, and there's there'd be kung fu and bushido and all that, but then there's also chi and magic and awesome sky dragons and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I've been thinking about lately about doing a Dragon Ball Z type novel. I'm just not sure how I do it because they're so OP on that show.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing.
I was listening to, I think it was on Keystroke, but it was like they interviewed somebody that was he was doing some kind of space fantasy or something like that, and he was saying it was this meets Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, wait a minute, how would you combine anything with Dragon Ball Z? Because those guys are they just annihilate everything.
Yeah.
All right, bring on the full force of our entire navy. You're dead. Oh, okay. Well, the book's over.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is it? Episode 1, Gohan starts at over 9,000, right? So, that's episode 1.
Right.
So, gee,
it's just ridiculous. But I mean, sure, there's a way to do. That's a good challenge, though. I've been trying to think about that lately. Like if I get an idea, I'm thinking like, well, how in the world would I do that? I need to take that more as a challenge to see if I can do it, rather than like, oh, I can't do it, so I might as well not even try.
Yeah, I really want to keep it more focused on the martial arts, and then have like aerial fighting, but like not get so powerful that they can like blow up in mountains and make new volcanoes. So
right,
yeah, because that's a little too crazy to me.
Yeah,
because then
that's cool. Yeah, I guess
the scale of your antagonist has to go like tenfold. Then, like, oh well, now the antagonist can destroy a whole galaxy, and I'd rather just keep it more manageable. So,
yeah. Well, you throttle it. Yeah, yeah. It's not like you can any danger of outdoing Dragon Z anyway. So, what would be cool is if you could like. Well, see, this is what I always thought would be cool. Is like happen upon a conversation where it's like one of your characters is compared to another from a series that you would previously read. So I thought that would be awesome. We're coming up on time here, so why don't we sign off? Why don't you just let people know where they can find you online?
Sure. Find me, Dean Floyd, on Facebook. I wear glasses, so this was my public unmasking. But like I said, cat's out of the bag. DeanFloyd.com is where my website is. And then you can find my books on Amazon and in Kindle Unlimited.
Awesome. So Shamrock Samurai, check that out.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah. And he's got what's the name of your book that's free for the next few days?
Intruders, a little short story in the vein of Castlevania.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're a fan of Castlevania, check that out. And guys, everyone, thanks for hanging out in the live chat. Rose,
thank you.
Scott, and Josh, big dogs, hanging out in the live chat. Thanks for giving us some creds.
Hey.
And yeah. So until next time, guys, keep reading and keep writing.
Thanks, Luke. Bye.